Hi, this is Jared at Nintendo World Report. I recently got to try out the game Fae from Swedish developer Zoink Games. While I only spent about 45 minutes with the title, I came away very impressed. Please note, the footage in this video is from the PlayStation 4 version, but I did get a chance to play it on Switch, and we'll talk about that experience. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Zoink Games, they've created games such as Stick It to the Man and Zombie Vikings. Those two games played on a 2D plane, but Fae is the studio's first fully 3D game. This game has been stewing in the minds of the creative team for many years, with the first prototype made over 5 years ago. The original concept stems from the creative director's brief encounter with a deer in his backyard. He slowly walked up to the deer and was able to rest his hand on the deer's body and feel its warmth. Zoink's creative director, Klaus Lingeled, apologies if I completely butchered his name, I probably did. Klaus says the game is a personal narrative about our relationship with nature. It's a story that reminds us everything in this world is connected. In the game, you must save the forest from this evil invading army. I think they're evil, called the Silent Ones. These creatures, they sort of remind me of Dementors, mixed with the tripods in Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. They're not humongous, they're quite tiny, but they have these, I want to say like rays of light emanating from their foreheads, if they even have foreheads, and in the brief section where I was facing them, I had to use stealth skills to avoid them. But yes, in the game, you are defending the forest from the Silent Ones, and your main ally is the forest, is nature. You can sing with animals and with plants to help you. Alright, here's an example of singing in the game. So, in the PlayStation 4 version, you use the R trigger, the analog R trigger, to initiate the singing, and depending on how hard you push the analog button down, it will emanate different notes, and basically you want to get in sync, have the singing be in sync with the creature or plant you are trying to connect with. Now, in the Switch version, instead of, even though you can use the R trigger to connect as well, because the Switch version doesn't have an analog button for the R trigger, you actually can use the gyroscope instead. So you basically, you twist the, either the Switch or your Pro Controller back and forth to have a different pitch of the note. And, you know, I played the Switch version, and it was actually pretty cool doing that. The developer, the person from Zoink Games who was there actually said he may actually prefer the way you sing and get in sync with creatures in the Switch version. So it was sort of cool. Let's talk about how the Switch version even came into existence. Fae was in development long before anyone knew about the Switch. Luckily, Zoink Games was one of the first European developers, or first indie European developers, to get a development kit from Nintendo, because the studio wanted to bring their game Flipping Death, which still isn't out yet, but is actually going to come out, you know, in the near future, later this year. So the studio received a dev kit for the Switch, and decided, hey, let's see if Fae will run on Switch. And they booted it up, and it was working. So they were like, they talked to Electronic Arts, who is publishing the game, and said, hey, could we, let's make a Switch version, it works, why not? And EA agreed, so that is how Fae came to Switch. Now, it's important to say, you know, obviously there are some The graphics aren't going to be the same as on the PlayStation 4 version. I was playing the undocked Switch version. It's 720p, it appears undocked. I was told the docked is not a full 1080p. It may be like 900p, something like that. The person I spoke with wasn't exactly sure, but they believed it was similar to how Breath of the Wild runs in docked mode, and we know Breath of the Wild is 900p, so expect something like that. They also said the particle effects have been reduced. A couple other things, the draw distance is reduced. But from what I've seen of the Switch version, it looked beautiful. Playing it undocked, the game really did look very similar to the PlayStation 4 version. Still an extremely beautiful, good-looking game. The biggest worry I have is the frame rate, because it did seem to be running 30 frames per second, but there definitely were frame rate drops, which, you know, I'm worried for some of the more expansive environments, if that will be worse. I'm hoping not. I guess we'll see in a few weeks when the game comes out. Overall, I only played it for a very short time, but the game world is beautiful. The music is beautiful. It seems interesting. It seems like there's lots of intriguing puzzles and things to solve. The game's sort of like Journey, where the game is not very hand-holdy. It lets you figure out and decipher the world's puzzles and explore at your own pace. So I'm excited for this game. I think that it's certainly a game to have on your radar. I'm crossing my fingers that the final Switch version will maintain its 30 frames per second target. So thanks for watching, and we'll leave you with a little more footage from the game. Thanks, guys. Bye.